nearly 7 decades later, as a rogue member of the Kim dynasty once again threatens to upset the regional power balance, it is worth recalling the lessons of the last time North Korea and the United States stumbled into war. As in 1950, none of the big powers, frankly, nobody in their right mind, is eager for a renewed conflict on the Korean Peninsula. Still, the events of that fateful June remain a cautionary tale, a warning that, if nothing else, it only takes one really determined actor to spark a crisis. To be sure, the world is a far different place than it was in 1950. The Cold War is over. The modern-day tensions between Washington, Beijing, and Moscow owe far more to power politics than to ideology. Nor did Kim Il-sung's invasion then have anything to do with nuclear ambition, although the Soviet Union had just detonated its first atomic bomb the year before, touching off the atomic arms race between Washington and Moscow. Nevertheless, today's policymakers would do well to take a closer look at some of the common themes. One is that it is impossible to disentangle North Korea policy from China policy. The relationship between the two neighboring nations is profoundly symbiotic. Since its dynastic days, China has viewed shoring up peripheral regions like Southeast Asia, Tibet, Xinjiang, and Korea as a national security imperative. And if China watches Korea closely, the reverse is also true. Mao's victory in 1949 in the Chinese Civil War inspired Kim Il-sung to attempt to unite the Korean Peninsula with a revolution of his own. Today, too, an increasingly assertive Beijing is only likely to embolden Pyongyang. At the same time, the history of the Korean War teaches us to maintain a healthy humility about our ability to divine Beijing's intentions. There is no guarantee that China can be cajoled into aligning its North Korea policy with Washington's, even as part of a larger bargain, as some thinkers like Henry Kissinger have suggested. In the year leading up to the Korean War, American intelligence was so poor that it routinely and falsely reported that Mao was gravely ill, or even dead. He lived for another quarter century. Although today U.S. intelligence is far more formidable, the tea leaves in Beijing and in Pyongyang, for that matter, remain largely inscrutable. A final lesson is that American politics can dramatically alter Washington's response to the Kim family's provocations. American foreign policy underwent a sea change over the course of the year leading up to the last Korean War, partly the result of a more nationalistic strain of domestic politics. For years, Democrats like Franklin D. Roosevelt and Truman had hoped that China and the Soviet Union might cooperate with the U.S. in establishing a post-war order in East Asia. But by 1949, against a backdrop of red baiting at home and rising tensions in Europe, hawks in Truman's cabinet were pushing him to do far more to challenge communist aggression in Asia. Today, again, Trump's own ultranationalism, not to mention his desire to distract attention from his domestic woes, makes confrontation that much more likely. Foreign policy crises are not like headaches, Dean Acheson once observed. You can't just take a powder and they are gone. Rather, he added, they are like the pain of earning a living. They will stay with us until death.